Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Rings of Power reviews, whatever you call it. This is the season 2 finale. Taking you from Taylor because we're going quick and need to get that thumbnail going. But I am the Clown Prince of Closed Doors, Travis Snail. I'm joined by
I am the man of many names, Kirkland Patrick.
Hey, my name's Dylan.
The Grand Elf, Taylor Field.
So as we do here, we're always working hard at GeekVerse. So as you will see when you wake up this morning, there'll be a Rings of Power review and there'll be a Joker Folia Do review. So very late night for us. So all I'm going to say is everything you need to know is down below for our links. And the only thing I will plug is Extra Life, which is happening November 2nd. That's our 24-hour charity stream where all our donations, whether it's ourselves, you guys, there's going to be a shirt, of course, you can buy coming out this week. And then all the proceeds go there, go towards BC Children's Hospital. And if you're wondering about donating, it's tax deductible, so you can write off at the end of the year. And if you can't, just come join us this or that day. We'll start announcing some events next week, but there's going to be some fun stuff. We already got 8 things lined up, but just 24 hours of usual shenanigans. My hair is going to be on the line. I'll shave that if we hit a certain goal. Taylor's going to shave his beard in a funny way. So lots of details to come, but just mark that date, November 2nd, our 8th annual charity stream, and it's going to be a good time. And all the proceeds go towards families and kids in needs, whether it's for surgeries or evacs or you name it, anything to do with the BC Children's Hospital. The funds go there, so we would appreciate you supporting it and then coming out that day. Dill Muss, what did you think about the ending of season 2 for Rings of Power?
How did I feel about the ending of Rings of Power? I feel like it was about as rushed as your intro there. You know, you're really just trying to get through it all, just trying to cram it all in there. I going into this finale after last week, I was like, okay, I know that a lot of this stuff is going to be passed over really quick. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a longer episode, which it was like 110, right? I just knew that we were going to be rushing through quite a lot of things, and it felt that way because, of course, you're going to get screen time with every single character and storyline and try and wrap everything up nicely. I had a fun time with the episode, actually. I did enjoy it, but I do think there's a lot of things that are just... It feels like there's definitely an episode missing between the last episode and this one in terms of particularly a couple storylines, I'll just say. I'll leave it at that for non-spoilers purposes. So it definitely felt like we skipped over some things there. And then, just a couple things resolve a bit too quickly in my mind, but also doesn't feel like there's much of resolution to almost anything at the end of the season as well. It feels very much like, oh yeah, this is season 2 of a 5-season series. So, I had a good enough time with it. Nothing too bad in here. I think I always come back to like writing and sometimes acting are things that get dinged points for me on this show, and I don't think there was any of those things that I would ding this week. So, it was pretty decent overall.
Mr. Fields. Or just Field. No S, sorry.
No S. Definitely not. Yes, I think that you're right, Dylan. This episode was rushed. There was a lot of storylines that were going on, and just for one episode, that 1 hour-ish mark to just kind of cap it all off, it's not ideal. But that being said, as messy as some things kind of were throughout this season, where we got to here, I feel pretty content and pretty happy about it. It sets up some more turmoil, obviously, of things to come our way. So that definitely has me excited. But there's one thing in particular with one of our characters that we had occur that I did not like. It was not for me. It really, really pulled me out of it. That aside, I think everything else was pretty great. The stuff going on with Celebrimbor and Erigion was pretty wild and just fucking nuts. So that's cool. And yeah, I think that, someone else take it. That's a spoiler. So I don't have much else to say other than I did enjoy the episode. I'm excited.
Nice. Well, I have to take it because Kirkland's gone, so he just wanted to be last. But I'm pretty much in sync with you guys. I think overall I still enjoyed the episode. I'd give it a thumbs up, which is good because this season was pretty rocky for me. It was a steady climb up, which is good. So it's ending on a positive note. Like Dylan said, it is supposed to be 5 seasons, so I get it. There's lots of stuff. Even last week, we're like, how will they do this? How will they do this? And the answer is they won't. And it's fine because they are doing more seasons, and that's fine. I think they had some multiple fan services in there, so I guess you get that for, kind of maybe a general audience or people wanting some payoff, so you have that going on. I actually, liked the majority of the mini fights we had going on here. There's some developments I like happening. I agree with you. I think I know what moment he's talking about, and really not a fan of that moment. That's the thing with this show, and I think there's even one thing in the middle too. I'm excited to talk about or intrigued to talk about because I'm not sure how I feel. I think it's just kind of maybe I won't say that. I was gonna say for every good choice there's a bad choice. I don't think it's that. Maybe it's more like a 2-to-1 comparison where there'll be two things where like, oh, I really like that, and there's just one thing that stands like, oh, like this just doesn't flow with the story, or I don't think this matches with the character, or it's just kind of, I won't say dumb. That sounds mean, but just it doesn't play exactly right. And I think this season suffered from that a lot more than last season. Not sure what that is. I'm hoping, minor spoilers, I feel like some of these storylines are getting condensed together next year or next season. So I hope that will maybe help is not being spread so thin like butter over toast. But yeah, so overall it ends on a positive note, but I definitely don't think I'm as excited as I was in season 1 where it's like, oh, I can't wait. For me, that was the hype finale, the Mount Doom, the Storm reveal, everything, where now it's like, okay, I kind of get where we're going and I'm not too invested, or I'm not invested as I'd like to be, but I still enjoyed my time with it. And it wasn't last week, where last week, again, that's where I'm still excited for the show, because last week I think was, if not my favorite episode, in the top 3. So I know it can get there at times, but yeah, it's not a finale. It's going to be something in like a year you guys will have to remind me on, or I'll have to think hard, like, okay, what happened? Right, that happened. And again, I think it's going to be tough because there's just certain storylines you can't really pay off, because some of them pay off in Lord of the Rings. So it's like a very tight, like small tightrope they got to walk in between of like not going to a certain point, but then you also got to feel fulfilled. So I don't know, but that's where I am. So a little mixed to positive, I'd say. Kirkland?
Yeah, I think overall I would pass this episode for sure. And to end the season off, it's nice to not just feel deflated, I think, by the end of the season, and just going towards season 3. Not I don't know, having some intrigue going forward is always nice. But I feel like I have a similar feeling now that I did at the end of season 1, where like now that I'm just looking back on it, it's just like, man, they made some missteps in my mind, and I don't know, I'm able to just like look at it and really just be disappointed that they have even made the decision to go down certain plot routes, because I just think in hindsight it's such a waste of time. Like, we could have spent so much more time with some interesting parts in the show, and to me I feel like that is like major knocks off, because it's just trying to put too much food in your mouth and you're just choking on the product instead of being able to savor it. And that's how it felt at like its worst for me. And I think this episode didn't have a lot of those moments, but it was like, oh yeah, right, I kind of forgot about this plot point because it wasn't in maybe like last week's episode, and it's just like, holy fuck, I do not care about this at all. But we'll get there when we get there. But there's definitely still some good juice in here. There's even some good juice about certain things that I didn't like because they deviated from the story, but I'm just like, fuck, I hate that I like this, because this is just like a good performance, or like some good lines being dropped, and I'm like, I shouldn't like this. My lore junkie in me shouldn't like this, but I do, because it's well done. So visuals, I feel like this episode maybe had the most visual moments where I'm like, wow, that actually doesn't look that great. Like CGI background, like it didn't look as polished. There's a beautiful dark thing that happens in this episode that just like, holy fuck, eye candy for sure. But I think near the end, not really spoilers, but there's just some bright stuff that's going on. And I think whenever you have like the high saturation going on, the CGI is just like really noticeable. But I'm kind of splitting hairs here. I think overall it is still a positive way to end the season off. And yeah, I am looking forward to where to where we're going, because a lot of the stuff that we're kind of leading off in, I actually am not very familiar on. So I think that'll actually help my overall enjoyment. Because whenever it's like, okay, I think I know where we're going story-wise, and then it deviates, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're jumping across. And then again, the lore junkie in me is just not a big fan of certain things going on. But yeah, let's just jump into it.
There you go. We're going to jump. We're going to get froggy, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Where do we want to go?
Maybe this could be a couple quick notes here, but maybe just get like some of this Numenor seal door stuff out of the way.
Yeah,
I did have
agree with that.
I also
Let's
had a
get it out of
question
the
about
way.
this, and I feel like because when I was watching the sequence, I could just feel the dust gathering in my eyes and getting a bit sleepy as I was watching it. But so Elendil, who's Isildur's father, right? He left. I couldn't tell if he had already left like the island of Numenor in like that final shot when he's looking back. When he's looking back, what is he even looking at?
He's looking at like the capital of Numenor, like where he was, and then because he mentions to.
But it looked like it was like on fire, and I was like, "What's going on back there?"
Because they're like raiding, right? They're like probably burning down like the faithful shrines and like just like
I guess
kicking in
so,
the
yeah.
doors and
Okay.
ripping
Is
people
that
out of
what's
their
happening?
homes,
That's
and it
okay.
like yeah, it's the whole city's not like being razed, but it's just like there's flames in the streets, especially
orcs
I
attacking.
imagine there's like districts in the town that are like really heavy faithful, so they're probably just burning down those homes and
Gotcha.
stuff. And
Okay.
maybe if we didn't spend time with some Harfoots, we could have actually focused on some Numenorian stuff, so we could have detailed exactly what's going on in that. But also the Numenorian stuff wasn't even that great, so I don't even know if I want that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it wasn't even in there that much.
but
And then where is a seal? He's on a boat, a seal door at the end of this. Is he going back?
he's going back to Numenor. Yeah.
Not a place
So-
you want to be right now.
Yeah, like are him and Elendil going to cross paths, or are they just going to
Definitely not.
continue to be
no,
separated?
because
for another
Elendil's
season?
going to see Anarion now. I'm glad that he actually mentioned that name. I got pretty excited about that. But he's going like west on the island. So
Okay,
like
so
our
he's not actually
Farazan.
leaving the island of
No.
Numenor.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
no.
Just
I
the
think
city.
my prediction is season 3 finale. That's when they meet back up. That's what I think is going to happen.
You're probably right.
That's it. I just feel like this show has certain ways, and that's what they'll have spent a whole season apart. And can we throw a Isildur into this Numenor stuff too? Because
Oh,
like I
yeah.
don't have much to say there. Like
Yeah.
the Arondir's adopted son or whatever. The fact that they hug and they're just like, oh, this journey we've been on together. It's like we see them together like twice this season, and to me it
Yeah,
wasn't
they didn't
that
do much.
No, at first it was like a like tension, like can we trust each other sort of deal, right? And then it was like, I guess we're together. Like I did not feel even we had another goodbye in this episode that I feel like a bit more emotional for, but not as much as I wanted to. Same thing here. It's like this is not earned at all. This whole we've grown together and so everything from Isildur to Numenor. Even I got a good laugh out of when she gives what's Isildur's dad again?
Elendil.
Lindiel. I laughed when she gave him that sword, and they literally just redid the shot from Return of the Kings where Aragorn pulls the sword. And I'm like, there is that,
The
and
way
then
he holds it too.
Oh man,
like,
I loved
folds
it though. I loved
Yeah.
it. I
even the
loved it.
Hobbit speech at the end, I was like, all right, I get it. You're doing Sam's speech from Two Towers. Like I felt like there was a lot of Force Awakens isms in this episode of like, yeah, you remember that Peter Jackson trilogy, and I was like, I don't think you can call upon that here. So, but yeah, it's kind of consistent for me the whole season. I think again this episode there's just multiple actors that are just not great in the Numenor stuff. I think it's a little intriguing at least. Like Isildur's going back to a place that he doesn't know what's going on. So there could be something there for that character next season to hopefully be smart and rise up and have some urgency and me to care about this character. And maybe he helps people out there in need, whatever it is. Like I hope he goes back there and there's something to give him to do and not he's like a prisoner that his dad has to say at some point.
90%. I am confident that's going to be the case.
I know. That's my one hope is maybe he gets a hero arc next season. But so there's intrigue there, but I don't trust the execution because some of the Numenor stuff to me either just been bad or I just haven't been invested in any of this. I don't think they've given it the time, and then the time we have gotten there, even in this episode, it just feels just like the Isildur giving that guy a hug. It just feels like we're missing pieces or episodes of. Did I miss something? I was like, no, they didn't know each other that long, but they had a hug, and I guess that kid's on his own now, which again, Taylor asked me a couple episodes ago, who would I cut? Like, I hope that's kind of the end of him for a bit. He's just hanging out in his homestead, and that's it, because what else do we need to see of that kid character now? Like, what else does he give to the plot?
Yeah, I don't know. I did love the moment though when our Farzarn's son comes to this outpost to kind of pretty much take it over and be like, hey, we're just going to make this like a Numenor war outpost. And like, we don't really give a shit if you disagree with that idea. And so he's there and interacts with Isildur. And I love that sequence when Isildur's like, yes. Haven't seen you in so long. And then he's talking to his friends. He's like, back in Numenor, my father is head of the guard and saying all this stuff. And the guy's like, oh, the tables have turned. Your father is actually exiled, and now my father is in control. I just thought that was so funny, just like this reality slamming back to him because he's been gone for months or years or however long it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Numenor stuff I think across the board has been mostly disappointing for me. I think this episode was probably the most intrigued I've been all this whole season, just because it like they're getting straight to just burning down like the faithfuls like believe like we already seen them burn the shrine, but now they're actually like kicking in the doors and like arresting people, and it's just like turned up like to an extreme limit. I didn't like the build up of it because it just seemed kind of cheesy, especially brought up the Eagles in the past, but it's just like I didn't like the whole execution of that. And I like that we just kind of okay, let's just get right to it. Now we're actually ripping people out of their homes, and it's just heating up. So I am excited to jump into next season and see where Numenor's at. Even though I didn't love the Numenorian stuff in this season, just because I am expecting somewhat of a time jump to see what the rule shift has been. Although we have, I don't know, we also haven't maybe focused in certain areas that I would have wanted in Numenor. I am really looking forward to seeing Anarion. That is like, man, just. I'm so hyped about that. It's a character that I really don't know too much about. Like I haven't really read about him in the books. Mostly just
Another
like doing
Cal
research
Brimborn
and looking in
situation
there.
coming for Kirkland.
It could be. It very much could be. So high expectations, but I don't know. I was let down by Isildur, so it could very much happen about Anarion. But yeah, I'm just excited to get like Elendil's interaction with him. And yeah, you brought up like the comparisons of the Peter Jackson. I agree with like the ending lines. It seemed, I don't think it was Nori's line. It might have been Tom Bombadil or Gandalf at the end. Like I swear they said one line. I can't even remember what it was. I should have wrote it
It's
down.
about
But
his
it
name.
felt like exactly what they said, like in the Fellowship or something. It
The
was
Bombadil line was like almost equivalent to like the wizard never doesn't arrive early, arrives
Yeah.
exactly when he means to. He had a very similar cadence that he was talking about.
I think there
And
was
the-
another one too. that was
Gandalf's
just like,
name.
Okay,
There
this
was
is
another
excellent.
one too.
It was like because it's when Gandalf comes back in Two Towers. He's like Gandalf. He's like Gandalf. That's what you called
that's
me.
what it was.
And
yeah.
he
that's
says
what
my
they'll
name's
call
Gandalf,
you.
and that's what they'll call me. And that's just like that's
Right.
again. It's a weird situation where it's like you're not like that's not. You're not a part of that. Like I get it. You can do.
Yeah.
They can do that. They can make those illusions. I think my problem is
How dare
it-
you stand where he stood?
it starts to feel like fan filmy in a way where it's like, well, we don't have the rights. That it's like that's something we would do because like, well, we can't make the rights, but we want to like allude, hey, we're making this fan film. So it's just there was like that. I didn't even catch the Bombadil one. So there's like 5 instances where it's
Yeah.
like kind of like riffing on the Jackson trilogy, and it's just. Yeah, it's just I don't need them to say exact lines that they're gonna say thousands of years later again.
Well, they
you
did
know?
that with they did it in the first season, right? Like when
Yep.
like out doubt, always follow your nose. And in
Yeah.
last
And
episode,
yeah.
they like Bombadil tells Gandalf. I saw a comparison of this. Bombadil tells him like those who deserve to die live, and those who live deserve death, or whatever.
Oh, like the Gollum speech.
That's exactly it. It's
They
it's
even
word
say-
for word almost the same.
I can't remember if it was last episode or this episode. I'm mixing up them all together now. But when he mentions pity, and he's like, "Pity, pity is what stayed Bilbo's blade." It's like the
You
exact
just
same
saying
line.
that it rings of power.
Yeah,
Harvard's
Yeah,
like, what the
Bilbo.
fuck are you talking about?
But like they talk, it's like
Bilbo
pity,
Baggins.
and like yeah, it's very
Yeah.
similar. But I feel like this episode had more of those comparisons than any other, so it just really stood out. But all that being said, I loved when he pulled out Narsil, and it's just like the total. I don't know, like it is like the exact same shot of Return of the King, but it's also like that's also the sword that our king gets in Return of the King. So I just thought it was a really, really, really cool moment, especially having it like in its original form, and like this is the first time Elendil's getting it. So I was definitely eating up that cheesy one.
Just do something cool, like make your own cool shot, though. No, but make your own cool shot. Don't make it just like, oh, we're gonna play on that cool shot that we did already with
He
Elrond
takes
and
it out. He's
Aragorn.
like, "This is a fine sword." He like,
Everything. Nothing more than a broken blade. It's not broken. It's fine, but
What
Still
is the
sharp.
what is the sword like made from? It's made from like, is it Alvin crafted? Like what makes the blade? Of
I'm pretty
Narsil
sure it
so-
was made by like a dwarf from the First Age, or like an angelic type character. Like it's got a lot of history, more so than just where we are right
the
now.
Sauron Mithril. That's what it was made from.
Yeah, it's
The
got a bit of
Morgul
Sauron
blade,
juice
yeah.
in it.
His blood, Morgoth's blood.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't
on
really have
Numenor?
much more than
Yeah.
like what's going on in. I guess we didn't see exactly what happened to the queen. Like it was when we were
She's
having a
cuffed,
voiceover.
right?
She's just cuffed, and someone was kind of reading her
she'll
Miranda
be in
rights.
prison next year, and so they'll
Yeah.
go back, and then they'll have a conversation. Even though they're like starting to kill and execute people, why would they keep her alive? I really don't know. I'm sure they'll come up with some bullshit reason, but yeah, she's gonna be handcuffed and yeah.
I did chuckle though when our Farazan comes out. And it's like, we've been looking into fine details and we finally figured out how she survived. It's just like it's as if they're like, okay, how are we gonna figure out how we're gonna explain this to our people? And they come out like, okay, we finally figured it out. It was Sauron that helped them out. And it's just like, oh my god, this is so fucking dumb.
I just feel like any character, she should turn around and be like, well, it's Sauron that gave them some, like the eagle that came. Like anytime someone just says it's Sauron, everyone's like, oh, that person's
It's
completely
just an
right.
easy reasoning,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh no, it was just Sauron. And like,
I didn't cheat on you. Sauron made me cheat on
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
I didn't do
okay.
this.
That makes
I
sense.
took-
Yes.
I took it as
He would do
someone-
that.
Someone sent that information to them, right? Like it had to have been.
To the Palantir. Right?
Is that what it was?
Like
Was
that's
it the
what our
Palantir?
Farazan's just been slurping on with his hand.
And
So
so
I don't
again,
think
just-
Sauron has one right now, but they could very much just make it that.
I just think it's weird that it's his. I mean, obviously he's king, but it's his word against everyone else's, right? Like, oh, I just present this document that says Sauron, and that means that Sauron is the cause of everything. I just assumed that it was like Gil-galad that sent out letters to everyone, like, hey, Sauron is actually Halbrand, and you had Halbrand on Numenor, so watch out.
Yeah, it just like for me, it just seemed like why even have her go through the trial if they're just gonna like next
Yes.
episode like. No, okay, no, that didn't
Still
work. It was
guilty.
actually Sauron. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I thought that was a big moment of like, holy fuck, they thought that they were so right. They make her do the trial, and now they're losing like the faith of the people because it's like, oh my god, it actually is the Valar looking out for her. And then this episode, it's like, oh no, yeah, we did some digging, and it was Sauron that did it along. It's like, oh okay, and then they just arrest everyone. So I liked the moment of all the arresting, but it's just like the reasoning for it. It's just, wow, that's pretty fucking lazy in my mind, but. Whatever, I guess we're just moving on to next season, and hopefully I like an Arion, and I hope I start liking more of this Numenorian stuff. But yeah, very sloppy, I think, across the board. Like last season, it was the excitement of seeing Numenor for the first time, and like I just like the introduction of it. But yeah, definitely, I don't know if it's like my biggest drop off and disappoint, or like of how would you say that? My biggest drop off from where I was
Biggest
loving Numenor to where I am now, and it's just like, man, that's very disappointing coming off of last season. I don't think it's quite that because there is something that I really didn't like, but yeah, Numenor sucks.
Numenor sucks. Well, talking about sucks, because we'll try and get some negative stuff out of the way and then get into positives. Taylor, what was your Sauron moment that you did not enjoy that I think we share, but just want to confirm?
It just brought a tear to my eye as I
Yeah.
was watching it. Yeah, I just was not a fan. Sauron cried in this episode. I did not like it. Did not need to see that at all. And now I understand he's been isolated and alone with Celebrimbor in this tower for a long time. They formed like a bromance, and it's just very passionate and
they?
heated and intense. This kinship, and then finally Celebrimbor was at death's doorstep, and was calling Sauron out for all this bullshit. And obviously he hit a nerve and something inside Sauron. And I don't like that. I feel like Sauron is not an emotional little adolescent here. Like Sauron he's a fucking lieutenant of Morgoth, right? Like this fucker has been through so much shit, died so many times, come back, and he should not be in this situation where he's emotionally compromised because someone just calls him out. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. He should be super composed, and yeah, I don't know. It just did not sit well with me, and it totally pulled me out of that moment of the character. Because when we first get introduced to this scene, Celebrimbor with arrows, and he's just being like target practice, like
Another
holy
Boromir victim.
fuck,
2 episodes in a row,
yeah.
we got Boromir victims.
I couldn't believe it. This is fucking brutal. And then he just like pins him up on the spear, like it's fucking crazy. But just the fact that they undid all that with the crying really is shitty. I can let it slide because of where it goes after the fact. I really like the Sauron stuff after that, but just that one scene alone, that's not my Sauron.
I just think, like, for me, I don't like it at all fronts, because I disagree with you that they build some sort of relationship. Like 99% of the time, he's just tricking the dude and lying to him. So that's not like a
Just
real
gaslights him the
relationship.
whole
Yeah,
season,
that's not a
right?
real.
Shoots him
he's-
with an arrow. Look
he's
what you did to yourself.
Yeah, he's just using him for greater means, and then I'm supposed to believe that he's put like 17 arrows into him, but he's gonna feel a little bad. Or I'm supposed to believe that Cal Brimborn's words are like get to him, but I just didn't think it was anything that well written. I was like, wow, that really stuck with me. So when he stopped and he's staring at him, I'm like, oh no, don't do this. And then I started to see his eyes well up, like, okay, just leave it at that. And then the single tear rolled down. I was like, so yeah, no, I'm with you. I've had that problem with the show where I feel like they've taken certain characters and they're trying to do the Thanos thing of like, well, there's a reason they're this bad, but I think you can still, especially in Lord of the Rings, which is a very much a good and evil tale. I don't think this stuff's needed for Sauron. Even if they want to do this with Galadriel, because I don't know, they laid it on so thick. He had like 17 lines about like, I still love you, I still like you, the door's still open. You want to partner up?
Halbrand mode.
Yeah, and Galadriel 5 times like, no thank you, like not happening. Like it's not like the Raylo thing where the like my door's open, my door's closed. Like she's just like annoying them. Even then, I could say, well, he is admitting that he did feel something for her in that moment, right? He's saying like not everything was illusion. So he's admitting that there was some part of him, whether people like it or not, that he was digging Galadriel. So I could buy something with her and maybe a tear coming out. The stuff with Cal Brimborn, absolutely not. So yeah, I did not enjoy that either.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I think for me it wasn't as egregious just because this whole season, pretty much this whole show, Charlie Vicker's like portrayal of Sauron, whether it's Halbrand or Anatar, it is a very emotional character, right? Like whether he's playing it for, I don't know, just winning over people, but like I feel like throughout this season is shown that like this is something really important to him of creating a new Middle Earth, which is basically purging it and like just becoming like a tyrant for the entire Middle Earth. But he still wants to create this thing because, like in his mind, he's never just achieved it, and he's come this close, and he felt like he's literally put himself into this product, and like he just wants to see it done. I would prefer not seeing a tear there. I think this is the best acting like I've seen from Charlie Vickers like throughout the whole show, is specifically as this character Anatar. Like he's just had a lot more range, I think, than what he had in as Halbrand. But in that scene, like I feel like he was really showing menace behind like his emotion. Like it seems like there's a dark something behind those eyes, even though it does have a tear to it. And I don't know. I think I'm just maybe bringing in my own things into this because I was just trying to like defend the seat because I just like the acting. I like Celebrimbor just fucking skewed like a boar on the pillar. It's just
skewed like a wild boar.
Yeah, it was wild to see that, and what a tortured character for sure. But for me, it's mostly just Sauron wanting to be able to create this thing that, like, I don't know. I just feel like he's also always been like trying to be that master smith. This is going back to like when he was a Maiar and like training as like a smith below Alway, I think that's right. So I'm kind of just pulling it from that, and he's just always been like not good enough to create the perfect thing in his mind. He's so close and he doesn't get it. So it's like, okay, I can kind of look past the tear, but fair points for sure. I definitely don't think he should be a character that's like crying when it doesn't go his way, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't bother me maybe as much as I like it should have maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, fair points. I don't think I was really bothered by it at all. I mean, it's not like he burst into tears and it got in his way and then he got like overthrown and his whole plan failed. I think that would have been a little too much for sure. But just like, a little emotion here or there for some people that he cares for or respects or has spent a lot of time with. I don't know. I guess I didn't really have an issue with it, but I'll tell you what. I was not shedding a tear when Celebrimbor finally bit it. I had enough time with him this season. There were good moments, but there were also a lot of cheesy or bad moments. So I think he had a good arc. I'll say that. So he's finally gone though. We actually got some big deaths in this episode, saying bye to some people.
Yeah, we lost him. We lost another character coming up. But and I wonder if they didn't die, but there's certain characters like we said. We talked about Arondir's adopted son, maybe the halflings like there's certain characters I think should probably go away for a bit, right? Like I just don't know what there is to do for them. I'm sure I'm wrong, and I'm sure the halflings are going to be heading home and they'll meet Arondir's son, and then it's like the fucking kid squad and they're doing something. But I'm hoping with Celebrimbor and Arondir now with the other elves, that's to me like two story threads kind of gone or put somewhere else. So
We lost the Uruk as well. That family.
oh
man.
my
Yeah.
god.
Poor guy.
So we have
Let's go there now. Fuck
Yeah, let's
that.
go there. Let's talk about Adder. So first of all, I had this moment. I don't know why. I just thought, man, they're gonna piss off Kirkland. What's I always forget. What's Galadriel's husband name?
Celeborn.
Caliborn. So when Adar had the ring and he stood up, he was looking at Elven. I thought for sure he
It
was
was
gonna
gonna be
be.
Celeborn.
I thought so. The way he's like, that wasn't my name. I was like,
It
oh
crossed
my
my mind,
fucking
yeah.
god,
Yeah.
they're gonna do it. And because they've made them like Google eyes at each other
Totally.
before, but no, it just results to the orcs turning on him and murdering him. Now, the little Sauron helmet was there. Am I to believe that he's like mind controlling them now, right? Or did they turn on their
Sauron?
own? Yeah.
No.
No,
I don't think he's doing.
It wasn't a
mind
yes or
powers
no.
on them.
It was a.
He's not mind controlling.
No.
I think he's just persuading them, because if he was mind controlling, then they wouldn't have conflicted with him and said like,
Okay.
"Oh, many Urks
So,
will
okay.
die."
I think it's like a
Step
fear
back,
factor
step
too,
back.
right? Like especially after he murders the family orc, it's just like, holy fuck, what did we do? Like this is now our tyrannical ruler. It's like, why the fuck
Okay.
even do this plot in the first place with Adar,
Yeah,
Anal,
yes,
whatever his
I
name is.
agree, Adar. Some show some respect to the dead. I'll circle back by
Celeborn,
saying,
sorry.
okay, he's not doing mind control like literally like but is he doing the thing that he did in Aragon where he's like, oh well, you could be with me. We could like, is it that thing? Because they specifically showed that helmet, and then the next cut to the orcs, that's when they're all like, they all looked at Adar. So it was like to me trying to show that okay, it's not like. I don't think they just mutinied against Adar. I didn't take it like that, which is weird because they were trying to set that storyline up last week, and then the orc with the family, to me, just became completely like Bucky from MCU Phase 1 and 3, where he was mind wiping, just, what do you do? So to me, I think he was influenced, whatever. And then I agree with Kirkland, this whole storyline, even last week, why, if Adar was going to sacrifice himself for, like saying, like, I'll do anything to keep my orcs safe, why last week did they make him an asshole to the orcs? Like, everything to do with this orc storyline between Sauron, the orcs, and Adar, I think completely got waffled here in these last two episodes. So, and I don't know. I really
I
don't.
do feel like Adar had some change of heart or realization after he was wearing the ring a little bit.
Okay,
I feel like
fair.
that cleared his mind somewhat and like put him in a different headspace and realized that like life is precious. And he should care for
minutes
these people
later.
again. So it's still, I mean, I still think he did go overboard last week, no matter what.
Yeah.
But hey, he was in the fucking heat of the battle, and they've been building up
That's
to this
true.
moment for years, right? So you can kind of understand the adrenaline load and pumping through his body at that point. He got, pretty much a kill on Arondir, one of the highest ranked members of the Elven armies. That, that would do something for you too, even though Arondir just like shows up in this episode
Just
again.
no big
It's
hero
so-
moment. He's just there. It's
It
like they
was
cut his
so
scene.
random when he popped up in here. I was like, oh, I guess he's all right then. That
I
was
thought-
a very weird ending for him last episode, but yeah, I this is something I was a little curious about. I guess the way I'm kind of taking it is that I don't think he's like actively doing a constant state of mind magic on them like he was for Celebrimbor, like keeping him in his tower there. But I guess it's just like it doesn't take much to sway their minds of the Uruk because they're just not very strong mentally. Their mental resolve is not there, so it's probably a lot easier to sway them with just like one foul swoop almost. And I don't know, like that's the thing is though, like at the end of the last episode, and why I think there was something missing in between last episode and this is like there were so many freaking orcs get like on the battlefield getting into Aragon. I feel like we kind of cut away from that, and then in the start of this episode they just like have fully captured the city and like everyone's like locked up, and it just seemed like a bit of a weird transition to me. But it's like there are so many of them that it's hard for me to like understand completely how Sauron was able to do this, where it's like, does he have to do this magic on every single one of them, or does he just do it on like a few leaders and then the leaders everyone like underneath just follows suit, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just follow our new leader now, I guess, even though I've never met the guy, but and I had a dad and I liked following my dad, but I guess the Sauron guy, everyone else is saying he's pretty cool. Or are they just like ants, like they just follow the pack in that way?
Even though some years, months ago, whether it's myself or my friend orcs have mutilated like the person known as Sauron,
Yeah.
right? They killed him as a group. They mutinied against him.
So,
it's just
it's a weird choice for them to really try and humanize the orcs and give them more of like a human-like personality, but then also make them just like mindless cannon fodder type enemies who will follow anyone for like nearly any reason. That's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it did feel that was one of the things among many that felt rushed in this episode for me. Is just, oh yeah, I'm the king of the orcs now. Deal with it.
King of the orcs. Yeah, well, so too bad for that orc lady with that baby. You know, she's now a widow, and that orc has no father now. So that's what a shame. You know?
Sauron
I'm sure
will
there'll be
step
some
in.
other.
I was gonna say,
orcs
hopefully
swooping in
Sauron will
there.
give them a nice home and everything. But yeah, no, it's I hope next year it's just mean Orc City. No more with the orcs. Have them be what they've always been, cannon fodder. Like that orc at the beginning too, when they're like, or maybe it's the middle of it. And I did like that scene of Elrond literally saying like, "Take me before you take these files of Celebrimborn's work." And
The sacred texts.
yeah, and to me again, I say if I'm basic bitch right now, but I like that the orc be like, and he just burns the fire. I'm like, yeah, that's my orc. That's what,
these books,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck your books.
Oh yeah, fire! Like that's what I like. He's just like, and then they beat them up. They set it on fire, and then Gil-galad and Elrond got beat to shit by the orcs. They're like, we can't kill them, but we need to save them for Master. But I was just like, yeah, that's this is the route I want to go, especially with the ending with like sword or shield, and the elves pick sword. I don't need, they're with Sauron, Anatar, whatever, who's to me just evil. I don't care about the tier. Like, now let's just, no more of this family, no more of this is our home. We don't want to go to war. There was Sauron, evil orcs, let's go. And I'll just say that they were having an off year happening right now. I hope this is not returned to in season 3. So,
You know, just a quick interjection here. Something that bothers me in the whole battle scene with the orcs and whatnot. There's a transition where we go into Eregion, and the remaining elven troops are just getting fucking decimated
yeah,
on the
not
walls.
going good.
There's the one elf that's running on the walls. He starts speaking out in like Sindarin or something like that. And you see him, he's got at least 3 arrows. He fires 2. He has 1 arrow left in his quiver. He does some cool jumps from like rooftop to rooftop, gives up the high ground and goes down on ground level with 1 arrow left and gets fucking murked instantly. No logistical or tactical thought put into that move at all. It just kind of bothers me.
I was laughing at that and then out of the fucking other door, Galadriel comes out and fucks up a bunch of enemies. So it's just like, oh, she's so cool. This guy's an idiot. But you're right. I don't know what his game plan was, but it was not a good one.
Yeah, the whole Adar storyline was major disappointing to me in hindsight, and why even go down that route of trying to humanize you? I think there was some potential there, even like what you mentioned, Dylan. Like maybe if they, like you know, maybe if the ring clears his mind to make him think about that, and then he like gives some sort of
because
speech.
it does heal him, right? Like it
Yeah.
pulls away some of the rot,
And he
that's been
feels
happening.
very different than where he would have been in like the bloodlust mode that he was in last week. And it would have been nice if he like admitted to Galadriel, like I guess he kind of did that, of like Sauron kind of played me, but like it wasn't exactly the conversation. It was more so just like, I don't know. It didn't say it as cleanly as maybe I would have wanted. And then maybe you could transition to him like addressing his orcs and like admitting how wrong he was. Like, I'm so sorry, my children. And then they still stab him. Like, I think that would have been like a bigger moment. But it's just, yeah, they just got him like a fish. And like, fuck, what a
brutal
waste
death.
now. What a waste now in hindsight. And they didn't really even like show. Well, they didn't show Sauron like fucking up orcs or something to like turn them. It's just they just got Adar and we're just going with it, and
And it's
everything
like a
that they've
small
shown
group of
on screen.
orcs too, and then like we just see a few turn, but then all of them have turned. Like it's like
Yeah,
they've
it's like what
synced
Dylan
up.
was saying. They're just like a fucking
Yeah.
hive mind. Like they're
Yes.
ants, and they just
Like-
go that way.
Like that group, it makes sense. Like we literally saw Sauron do that to a group of elves, make them all kill each other, right, in a circle last episode. But like it didn't seem like that's what he was doing there. It seemed like they like they chose to do that of their own
Yeah.
free will at that point. To me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was mind controlling them.
I
in that
think you're
scene.
right. I think it was out of their own choice, and I think they were just fed up because Adar kept making bad decisions.
But
and
how
they
does
weren't
that get
happy
to
with
like
it.
the orcs like hundreds of miles
Yeah,
away
that
deep
makes
in
no
the
sense.
city?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's more persuasion because it's just like, is
No,
it
it's
a
poor
game of
writing.
Curious to see
Is
how
what
much
it
we'll get
is.
of
It's
that
poor
next
writing.
season.
Well, no, I know that's what it is, but I'm trying to I'm trying to give them a mulligan, and it's like, is it a game of telephone where like Adar's an asshole, Adar's like pass it on, and it gets like,
But the
wow,
orcs in the city weren't like, oh fuck Adar. The orcs in the city were like, okay, we got a new boss. That's it, because they're super submissive, right?
I guess, but this whole season was showing them that they're not.
Yeah, and like Adar's
completely
more than a
submissive.
boss. Like
Yeah, they're family. Remember, they don't want to
Father,
go
Lord
to
Father.
war. Some of them. So, like, it's just weird that the orc burning the books gets word, and then he's okay. I'm back with Sauron, the guy we killed, or like we're shown that we murdered,
killed him
too.
in the exact same way as
Yes.
Adar.
So,
Yeah. I don't have a problem at all with Sauron just like taking over like the orcs or the Uruks. I would have wished for like a better scene of it happening, and I think that oh no, I lost my train of thought there.
Character name Adar.
Character name Adar.
Mind
Ju-
control.
I think what helps me like not mind the orcs turning is the fact that like the orcs have already stated of just like the fear factor of what Sauron is like early on in this season. They're like Adar is like talking to them about Sauron, how he's still out there, and it is like the biggest threat to them specifically. And I think that even though we don't see all the orcs kind of thinking that, I think that is like common knowledge across the board. There's probably some different intelligence levels in the Uruks, of some that are just completely meatheads and they don't give a shit who they're killing. They just are killing each other. That's kind of my preferred type of orc, kind of like what was shown in the events of Lord of the Rings. But they just didn't really make an effort of even showing that, right? Like it happens off screen where the turn happens, and it's just because of that, it's just egregious in my mind to even go through the hoops of doing this thing with Adar and trying to make us feel for these orcs, because it just there's no satisfaction in it at all, and I feel wasted, and I already felt pissed off with what we got in Numenor, and then I get this, and then get some Harfoot stuff later on, and I'm like, fuck, man, there's some shit garbage in this show. Like that
at least the
actually
Harfoot
makes
stuff
me
was
mad.
very small, though.
It's true,
you know?
it's true.
Like,
And
it's
like
I blink and you miss it.
I'm hoping
so.
this goodbye at the end is like, okay, is this actually goodbye? Because you fucking promised me last season, and we got you again this season, Harfoots, and we got the Stewards. My gosh, come on, get out of my show.
No, when the Harfoots did go with Gandalf, so we know she was going to be sticking around, right? But my other weird thing with the scene is they showed Galadriel's reaction when they started to stab them. They did like a Dutch angle, like zoom up on her. But then I didn't feel like there was much like with her after. I thought her and Adar kind of had like some sort of connection, but the show just kind of carried on, and I thought there'd be something, even just like Galadriel, like maybe like his eyes were open, like putting his like just something. But no, just kind of she moved on
Like, holy
too.
fuck.
Yeah,
They
she
just
moved
did
on
that.
too. So, and at least I will say, last week I said if Adar dies, not to Rondir, then Rondir's like the biggest bitch ever. But he did survive, so he's not the biggest bitch ever. Now, did he complete his goal? No, but he can hopefully contribute to the team going forward. So they got that. But yeah, no, and then
He
yes,
was up there with the rest of the Linden
yeah,
elves up on
big
that
promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very
but then and then Sauron, as we mentioned, killed the orc with the wife and the child. So, and again, that's why it's
Okay.
like they try. Did they do that to try and make us like Sauron less? I guess, right? Because they showed us this orc didn't want Warren to stay home, and that's the one that Sauron kills, is this humanized orc, and it's supposed to be, oh, that's Sauron so bad. But it's like I think I get the message, like how bad he is this season.
I
He's
think
done
that
a lot
definitely
of-
just hits home that he just sees them as
Yeah.
numbers and tools rather than people like Adar did.
Yeah. Well, let's take an ad break, and then we'll talk about Sauron because he had a little fight this episode. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed, to talk about some positive stuff. I loved the face-off between him and Galadriel. I like all the referring back to being like kind of, some tension there, romantic tension last year. Galadriel many times had said, hey, she didn't say, hey, I might still like the guy, but characters had insinuated that, like, hey, like you still have a connection there. She wasn't sure. Anytime she talked about him, the Hallbrand thing came up. So I like that was full on. I think they laid it on a bit too thick a couple times. They had Sauron like drop too many cliche allegories, but I like that the fight. I love that Sauron turned into like a video game boss where he's just turning into different personalities. I thought that was cool. And then I think it was cool to have her like officially like that storyline's done of the like, oh, is there any pull there? She said no, that door is closed, and she went for his head. So I liked everything they had there. I thought the fight choreography was good. I like him using that helmet as a weapon. Like I said, I think the only thing they missed was when he was turning into people, he should have turned into her brother, because that's how this whole show started, right? Was Sauron killed her brother, and we saw him in season 1, and I thought that would have been the last final, like, oh, that would really hurt her.
They
So I
probably would have
thought
thought the viewers wouldn't like remember that.
yeah, you're probably right, because they all turned into people we had just seen. But I thought, like, oh, this is a good moment. But nonetheless, very good moment. Other than I don't buy that she jumped off the hill. That's fine. Or it's a cliff. That's fine. I get that. To me, it wasn't that far where Sauron was just like, well, she got away. Like, it still looked like it was like just hike down there and you can get her, especially with his power. So it felt like he kind of, that was like a video game cutscene of the guy just, well, it's like GTA hiding behind the trash can of he can literally still like see her with his eyes, and he wants this ring because she jumped off a cliff. I'm good. So other than the ending, I really like that interaction fight.
He got his 9 rings, right? I mean, he would have loved to get Galadriel's, but I think, he got the
Yeah,
9 rings.
I
That's
guess,
the
yep.
main thing. So can leave that fight for another day.
He was just talking about how he was like, oh, that was a thing of beauty. Like he was pretty impressed by that ring. So I thought he really wanted it. But you're right, he did get the 9. So
Wanted to put his black goop on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said there. I really like that sequence. And yeah, just the resilience of Galadriel to fucking yeet off a mountain, smash through some trees on the way down, and survive to tell the tale is pretty cool. And I actually found myself like not really that bothered by Gil-galad in this episode, so that was a nice change of pace.
I was hoping the orcs would slit his throat instead of burning the
Yeah, I mean,
books.
I would have taken that too,
Jesus.
but I just found myself not annoyed by everything he was saying when he was talking to her when she was kind of waking up after being unconscious there from falling off the mountainside. So yeah, I liked that stuff.
I think I agree mostly with everything you guys said on the fight. Mostly
Mostly.
what Travis said. Maybe there's just like some little moments when they're going back and forth. It seemed like they're doing a talk dance as opposed to a full on fight, which is mostly kind of what they were trying to do, right? Like it's mostly a psychological battle with Sauron getting into her mind, and then her having the fortitude and resolve to kind of like push back. That roundhouse kick that she does on him, which when she just like closed the door, I was like, holy fuck, that was quick.
Yeah.
Nice little side kick she did. But yeah, when oh no, it's happening again. It's happening again. What happened? The Morgul blade stab, and how incredibly identical it is to the Fellowship of the Ring sequence when she like wakes up and you like
Yeah.
almost see fucking Hugo Weaving's face
Assalamu
like floating.
alaikum.
Wake up, Frodo.
Yeah.
And, like it's so similar, and like I get it. She got stabbed by the same type of blade that Frodo did. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? With like the same lines, and I think because of just seeing those movies so many times, I'm like seeing Frodo in the bed in Rivendell. It's October the 4th of like blah blah blah. Like it's just okay, yes, I get it, but yeah, no, I thought the overall fight was really good. Something that like I feel like didn't really stand out to me at all in this season, except for this episode, is they like really made the Elven rings and the Dwarven ring as well, like Durin's ring, like super large. It looks like a fucking ring
Yeah.
pop, and like I don't know, I guess to like just really showcase like the jewel, but it just looks so like ridiculously large on Galadriel's finger, I found. And like we've seen this ring before, I guess you can make the argument it's a different universe. It's not attached to the Peter
I
Jackson
haven't seen
one.
this ring.
But they just looked really, really large in this episode, and then I'm like thinking to myself, it's like, did they always look that large? Like it maybe when they do like the close up on the ground, and then like Elrond goes to grab it, it just again like a fucking ring pop in the air. But no, overall I thought it was a satisfying enough meetup, especially that they haven't seen each other face to face for a while now, and I like the imagery of just her falling, and then when Gil-galad and Elrond are seeing that, and then you just see like the dark figure of Sauron just like kind of on the mountain peak. It looked really, really cool shot, and yeah, I was a little bit confused why Elrond didn't just put her ring on her finger, because I figured that would have also just kind of helped cure like the darkness that was in her, right? Because like
He wanted
look
to keep it.
look what happened to Adar, right? Like he turned from fucking emo dark mode to full on Celeborn again. I'm just gonna run with that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still thought it was nice. And the ending was good enough. I don't know.
I will say too, Elrond didn't like embrace her or run and hug her or anything. So I'm hoping that kiss is just remaining.
Yeah, they didn't
as
even
the-
address that, eh? I didn't even
Yeah.
think
It
about
didn't
that.
seem, like they were doubling down on that.
They saw it last week. They're like, edit the scene out where they make love. Take that out. We're not going to mention it, you know. So, but I'm happy about that. And yeah, elves are going to war. You know, they're going to fight.
They've
Man,
been known to do that.
Yeah.
I was gonna just mention. I feel like this era, the elves are supposed to be like really popping off. Like they just defeated Morgoth in the Last Age. Maybe that took a lot of toll on them. But like Adar's Aurochs, really, guys, like they completely decimated Eregion.
Well, how
Actually,
how does
okay,
Aragon
Sauron.
fall?
So there you go. Sauron's a big factor of that. So I'll give the pass there. But
Yeah,
just when
he's
I had like
inside
Gil-galad and like Elrond just like on the ground, like please no the books. And it's just like I don't know, man. I don't know if I have faith in these elves to go take the fight to Sauron when they just got their ass kicked
Oh,
by the
yeah,
by the
no.
Aurochs. But fair enough. I did kind of disregard the whole the whole Anatar basically being like the main factor on how that invasion worked.
You definitely need the dwarves. You need them for sure.
That was cool to
which
see.
that was pretty disappointing to me. That eventually the dwarves did show up after we get the whole sequence back in Khazad-dûm, and there's like 2 shots of them, and it's like okay they save the day, but then like they just leave and Eregion is still completely fucked, and they're gonna abandon the city. It's razed to the ground. So it's like did they even like I guess the dwarves help like free our heroes, and that's
Yeah,
like their
I
main
guess so,
purpose
yeah.
there rather than actually saving the city. But I was just a little disappointed from like the battle side of things. I know the battle was last week and all, but I feel like that would have been a fun extra phase to this battle, and maybe it'd be weird pacing wise to split that across 2 episodes. But I was a little disappointed with the dwarves coming to save the day there.
I feel like
That's
they
fair.
kind of came after the fact. You know, like the battle had already.
Yeah,
like,
the janitors pretty
Yeah,
much.
all the main troops had gone home, and they're just killing like the wave 2 orcs that are just like holding prisoners.
But they
you
didn't
know,
even
so-
like like Eregion still fell, right? Like it's like what Dylan was saying. Like they
Yeah.
like,
They
still
came,
had to
they
flee.
saw that Calibrimbor's architectures were destroyed, and they're like, we don't give a shit anymore.
And
Yeah.
like
All,
the
the only
one
thing of
thing,
value in
Can't
the
help
city
us.
was written on those scrolls, and they're like, we're out of here.
the one thing that Durin says to Elrond too, it's like the prince is in mourning. That's it. And then he just goes back to Khazad-dûm and like really, I mostly
We'll
just like
offer our
seeing their
services.
armor showcase because
Mm.
like I haven't seen the Peter Jackson Hobbit, so I haven't seen like dwarves really pop off on screen other than just Gimli, and I
Boy, do
really
got a
like
battle for you.
of the 5 armies. Is that what
5
we're
whole
doing?
armies.
Yeah. I like the book version. It's pretty good in my mind. But just yeah, their armor set looked really cool and unique, and just all of them having crossbows. It looked pretty cool, but definitely lackluster in the sense of how much they were involved in the fight, and they don't really they don't really talk. Like I said, just the one line that Durin says to Elrond, and then that's just it. They just fast travel back to Khazad-dûm.
Very quick, yeah. And they're like, what a offer. Like, we will be with you anytime. And then Durin's wife's like, no, we won't. We got our own stuff going on. So it's like, oh, okay. Cool. You know? So, Taylor, you have something to say? You look like you were
I did, but I totally forgot what I was going to say.
On the cusp.
Something in the water tonight. I know
something
that
about
feeling.
the elves, the dwarves,
Spider-Man.
prisoners,
It's long gone.
Gil-galad. Okay, let's go to the dwarves. So we had, I'm saying that hashtag Trash told you that Balrog, you're getting it as much as you can. But yeah, King Durin or Durin Senior, whatever you call him, you hear something going on down there, so he's gonna go. Then Durin Jr. tells his wife, "Don't follow me, no matter what you hear." She disobeys that, but I guess for good. And then they quickly tell us the story about him holding his hand down, which I wish they like set it up like a couple episodes ago, but he tells a story about, you would never let it's like a test of strength, right? And
Arm
Durin,
wrestling.
yeah, Durin Jr. is just kind of inferring that he would let him win. But before the Balrog takes King Durin, he informs him, "No, you were just getting stronger." And then King Durin foolishly decides, like, "I'm gonna take on the Balrog behind my." Like, I feel like he's more valuable if he just turns and runs, But alas, I guess.
And like probably better with the ring on, like instead of
Yep.
taking it off in that moment.
But yeah, we have lost King Durin, and now the dwarves are not really in. At least some of them are not in favor of Prince Durin, and there's talk of his brothers coming in. Sorry, brother, not pearl, not plural, to run. So yeah, like I'm somewhat intrigued. I think they could have got a little more juice out of the father-son dynamic near the end, because I think these last few episodes they've kind of just had one or scenes there. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm interested to see what happens with the brother. And I just knew they're going to do the Balrog, because you're going to see that Balrog every single season. I promise you. They know what they got there. So
They're gonna leave us on edge.
Was
Yeah.
there some super like enhancement to Durin's axe that he was using? Because when he went and did that final smash against the Balrog, it just looked like there was an explosion. Like his axe like smashed through it or had something going for it. So I just thought maybe
I
there
think he
was
just
some
got
It was
disintegrated.
probably a Calibrimbor original. That was
Love.
probably a fine piece of hardware there.
I agree with you, Taylor. It did look like an explosion. Like he
I think
had
it was just his
something on
guts
there,
going
but-
everywhere from
Oh,
the smack of the
Might have been
Balrog.
his
Yeah.
guts.
Just-
Dwarven guts.
Damn.
Yeah. I think this sequence was it was all right. I think it's a more. I am excited for what's next with the dwarves. I mean, I generally did like what was going on this season here. I think it's a good setup of like, okay, there's his brother out there. He wants to claim at the throne, and then like all the other factions that got the other rings and were kind of being used by King Durin are also, some of them have taken issue with the new king as well and want to claim ownership there. So I think we're set up for just like, hey, here's a bunch of potential different dwarven factions all down in these mines that all want a piece of the pie and want a piece of this kingdom, all while underneath their toes the Balrog's like right there and is like getting closer and closer. So I think it's a good setup, and I'm excited for what we get going forward. Pretty like expected ending for this character, I suppose.
Yeah.
King Durin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Like we didn't just get the full on fucking fall of Khazad like in
Yeah,
this
not
episode. Like,
yet.
can you
Extra
imagine
rush.
last 10 minutes? So yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Dylan. I really did like the dwarf stuff. I think. Oh my gosh, Nessa, whatever her name was.
Diza.
Diza, there you go. I think that's the actress' name actually, Nessa. But Diza, I thought she was
Pull.
one of my favorite characters in this entire season. Honestly, I thought she was fantastic. So I'm excited to get new dwarven characters, some new drama, as opposed to just the crazy Durin going just psycho, and like that's just our threat in the dwarven kingdom. Like I am happy that we're expanding, we're delving in other directions of the mind to find some other dwarves. So I am looking forward to that. And in terms of the Balrog, yeah, I don't really like that it was here, but fuck, did it look good. Like, man, I am not a fan of Balrogs with wings. It's just like, I don't know, to me it just doesn't fit at all. Every time that a Balrog has died, it's been from falling. So like, why the fuck would Balrogs have wings? Like, it just, I don't like it. I didn't like it in the Peter Jackson trilogy. I think it looks
like
cool.
chickens, you know,
It's
ostrich.
the reason why they put it on is badassery, and it looks cool, and I agree with that. But just the actual like factor of like them having wings, not a fan of. But goddamn,
You
did it
think
look
maybe,
good. The visuals look gorgeous.
Kirkland, here's an idea. You know how it's maybe, what if it's like almost like a bellows, like it's to stoke the flames on the body.
I like that. I like that. However, in this, he actually used it to like kind of like flutter a little bit, like when he like bounces back down and he like flaps with them, which I'm pretty sure the Peter Jackson Balrog does not do at all. It's just like a big like fan that goes off.
Right.
But
Yeah, I'm
I like your
guessing-
theory of the bellows.
I'm guessing with how heavy he is, like the wings probably wouldn't be, you can't just take flight and fly across the lands, but you can at least like maybe do a little double jump action with it or like boost your jump, So maybe
That's
in
fair.
that situation it made more sense, but like when he's falling off the bridge, when
Yeah.
Gandalf breaks that, like there's no chance he's going to be able to stop his momentum
Okay.
to fly, maybe.
I like that. I'm gonna headcanon that it's just like a double jump factor. So, or maybe
a
it's
good
just
double jump
falling with
factor.
style as opposed to flying. So okay, yeah, that helps for sure. But
Well,
visually, looked
Yeah.
fucking gorgeous. I thought that looked just amazing.
Watching that sequence and hot off playing a bunch of Elden Ring, I was like, man, I so badly want like a From Software to make a Lord of the Rings game, and like the Balrog boss fight would be so fucking sick. And all the other like huge enemies like Shelob and all these things would be so cool.
Morgoth, final boss. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Anything else on the
No,
Durin
I
or
guess
Durin's
we moved.
folk?
I guess we moved to the wizard folk and the Harfoots and everything. I was happy. Tom Bombadil was back, not because I thought I was wrong about that prediction, but he finally sung, so I was happy we got
Fuck
that.
yeah. I was
That was
hyped.
good going on.
Mentions the River Daughter. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So this is a storyline I'm still kind of mixed on because the Dark Wizard was a very big like. We'll wait until next year. His
Really
whole
big
lackeys,
disappointment is what you're trying to say.
yeah, I'm trying not to because I'm trying not to be just overly negative because there's still just things like again like I don't think overall there's some characters but it's act well, looks good, but the idea of whatever his lackeys were that kidnapped the hobbits and then he just like kills one and they run away, that felt like just such like a Captain Phasma thing of let's introduce some cool characters and well they're really nothing. And then as I was saying earlier, where I guess I feel like a tad emotional, but not really. But like I have some investment in him saying goodbye to the halflings. But for me, I already said it a couple episodes ago that I don't think they should have split them up again. If they get back together next year, then I guess okay, then I'm the idiot. But to me, I liked what they were doing in episodes 1 to 3, and they split them up, and then only for them to say goodbye. I wish they were just all together the whole season. Maybe barring one episode, so Gandalf could talk to Tom Bombadil. But yeah, again, not bad. I don't think the story was bad. I just think it was a little lacking, and the Dark Wizard thing didn't really pay off for me yet. But that's more of like, oh, maybe down the road. But yeah, and we got the name drop, so he's officially Gandalf. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
don't all talk at once.
Dark Wizard was just an absolute waste of time. I have no attachment to this character at all. And it was kind of interesting to get a little bit of backstory when he was trying to sway Gandalf over and was kind of like telling him about like where they existed before, but I don't know.
He
Like
said he was one of 5, which is interesting, right? So he would have been
Radagast, him, Saruman.
or one of the 2 blue wizards. And I'm
One of the
hoping
2.
it's one of the 2 blue wizards because if they're making this Saruman, like,
No.
fuck you guys. Like, fuck you
No,
guys.
because
who are making this show.
Saruman
Yeah.
was the first one out of the 5, I'm pretty sure, to come to Middle Earth, right? That's why he's like the wisest of the Order.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
And I would
he was
just
just the
hate,
white wizard, and the white wizard is supposed to be like the leader of the 5.
I would just hate the guy that eventually joined Sauron at one point, was known as the Dark Wizard beforehand. That's way
And like he shouldn't be evil at this point. This is like this
No.
is the idea. It's not like he
Well-
came to Middle Earth evil like right out the gate.
The Dark Wizard did say he's not evil. He said men gave
Oh,
me that
fuck
name who
off. His
don't
name
know
is Dark
better.
Wizard.
But he didn't give. He's not going around Kirkland. He's not calling himself the Dark Wizard. People call him that.
off. Yeah.
But he's
So-
dropping the whole fucking canyon on the Harfoots and the Stewards.
Harfoots.
Yeah.
Again, but
plotting with his
he's
fucking-
not saying he's Dark Wizard. So
I'm hoping. I don't even know what I'm hoping, honestly, with this character. Like the fact that he was alluding that he's in a star, and then we don't actually get what he is, and he doesn't look very blue to me. So, like,
under that robe.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe his
Like,
chest is just blue.
Like remember in Two Towers when Gandalf takes off his gray
Yeah.
cloak. That's what they're gonna do. But it'll be blue,
blue
light.
light.
Just like oh my god, he's looking like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, and I'm just I don't see an avenue that this is going to be a satisfying revelation for me of like a reveal of who this character is. I'm really worried that they're going to make it like a significant change for a certain wizard. But yeah, no, I was very disappointed with this character. I didn't really love his inclusion. I like seeing Rune, more of that, but we didn't really see more of that like at all. We just see like the one room and then these idiot troops that he has that are like runic individuals. Cool armor design, but anytime they spoke, it's just like, oh my god, they have like the Three Stooges out to get these Harfoots. Like it's just they're so stupid.
You told us to bring in them there.
Yeah, and I just don't like the setup for next season with the Dark Wizard, and I'm really not looking forward to get that reveal. So that was a big bummer for me, really. But But yeah, I did like the scene at the end with Tom Bombadil. I will admit it was really nice. I like the whole idea that it was a test for Gandalf. The song was amazing, and them just chilling and just fucking smoking their pipe weed and just singing
Couple of
songs.
boys.
So
You got a staff as well. too.
as someone, I'll admit, didn't like the idea of Tom Bombadil in the show. I was actually happy with what was done with them. So I will, I'll admit.
Very nice. Yeah, overall that whole storyline was like, what are we even doing here? Like, I feel like we barely spent much time with it. It had like a very unsatisfying ending, and I don't even know what it like sets up in an interesting way. So we'll see what happens there. But it was overall pretty disappointing, and it was funny. So that Bombadil, that quote, that riddle where he's like, "You choose your destiny, or you choose to save your friends." Like we didn't when we talked about that in that episode. I don't think any of us really considered that it was a test and the answer was to pick your friends. But then it was funny when I was watching the start of the episode, like the episode recap, it showed that line again, and in that moment I was like, oh, that was definitely a test, and he actually wanted him to pick friendship. I don't know why, just like seeing it recontextualized in this episode just made me think that was the case. So I felt pretty satisfied when that was what ended up happening. And I like that. I like that these two can be on good terms with each other, and Bombadil isn't just like pissed at Gandalf for like going off and doing something else, and then we never see that character again, because like he had like 15 minutes of screen time maximum across this whole season. But I want to see more of him, and I want to get more of that connection. So I feel like we're set up pretty well for that. How do you guys feel about the name reveal and how it was set up for Gandalf?
Gandalf. I didn't mind it.
I think it was fun.
I'm fine with it.
I am too. I guess
Okay.
I was expecting to feel stronger one way or the other. I was probably expecting a negative reaction. I was expecting the solo moment, and it was much better than that. So I was happy with it.
It made sense when the gentleman just says to him, like, he looks tall like an elf and he's grand. So thank you, grand elf. And
it did make sense.
It sounds like Gandalf. So there you go. I
Not
thought for a second,
not like seeing some guy traveling alone and being like, solo. That's
yeah. I thought he was gonna like go to Tom. It's like, my name is Grand Elf. And I'm like, oh man, no, let's tweak that. Then Tom gives him like a corrected name, but yeah, no, that's good.
Love it.
Part of me thought that we might be getting like a different name for him, because like Sauron, he does go by many different names. I think like Menathir is what they call him.
Oh, God.
Don't call me Sauron. No, can't pick that one.
It's like, wait a minute, wrong universe.
Can't pick that one, Gandalf.
Sauron. No, that one's taken. That was the last guy that came here.
Tom Bombadil. No, you're just,
He's just like on a roll.
You know
River
what?
Daughter.
Go back with the Harfoots, So.
You have more lessons to learn.
Yeah. Go throw them around some tornadoes a bit. So, are they gone next season, or even if they're not with Gandalf, do we get solo storylines with them, or are they gone for a bit? I think
they're around.
Same. Yeah, I think they find some way to get back in the thick of things.
I hate to say, I think Theo's around too. That kid.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely is.
He's not going anywhere until he dies.
Yeah. He's gonna outlive everyone in the show, even Gil-galad.
Good.
Like, you're probably right. My heart's gonna say no. I'm gonna try and just will that in existence. Manifest.
Okay.
That would be.
Even though, like, I don't hate the performances. It's just like, I don't want to spend screen time with them, because I just feel like I don't get a lot out of those moments, especially like Gandalf has his
nobody
name.
ever again. Fuck that guy. I'm over him.
Taylor, what do you think? Harfoots, Stores, Hobbits.
I think
Bilbo.
every live action Lord of the Rings project has had, focus on hobbits and
Well, they did
halflings, so
for 2 years. Take a break.
yeah, but it's every 3 more seasons. I guarantee you're gonna get Harfoots and Stores in every single one.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Anything else? I think that's it, right? I think we did it.
What? So, am I misremembering? What happened to Círdan? Did he just go on the ships west at the start of the season? Because he's just been gone, right? He's the one he's the shipwright. He's the one that had the ring and was convincing Elrond that it's a good idea.
Right, he just pimped right off and avoided all the war and everything.
But that's what
Yeah.
happened, right? He just
No
sailed
idea.
Yeah.
west of Valinor. Okay.
He's just gone. He's
I couldn't
Sauron's
remember,
coming.
yeah.
I'm getting the fuck out of here. You know? You guys are disagreeing with each other. Sauron's back. I got a ring. I'm happy. See ya. But that's what I remember, him just going away. So,
Nice.
well, final thoughts, Taylor, and a rating on this season.
Oh, a season as a whole, I think that it started off slow. And I think what we've alluded to in previous episodes, they really dumbed down a lot of the characters when Sauron was just trying to like spread his reach and do his ring business. So I can't forgive them for that. I think that's just pretty sloppy writing. So ultimately, I'm probably going to go... I'm still on the more positive side. I probably go 7 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but I wish I could remember what I gave the first season. I feel like I like
I
this
think you're
more than
higher on that.
higher.
Yeah,
Did you
I think I gave it like a 9. I think you were kind of with me on that because you and me were more positive. So
In retrospect, I feel like I would probably lower that rating for the first
Whoa.
season and then make
Just to
this
make
one
this.
higher. Just because I feel like this one feels more like a Middle Earth adventure in my books. This one has me excited. And ever since like we've been watching and doing this review, I just wanted to put The Hobbit on and put The Lord of the Rings on so badly and just get into that, which I'm probably going to now that we finished the show.
After our next review, we're gonna do after this. We're gonna put on The Hobbit extended
2
edition.
a.m. start
Hobbit.
time.
Yeah, start it now. So yeah, I think the show has a lot of things that it's got to refine and it's got to work towards. But my hardest issue with this is just trying to make sure I remind myself that this is outside of the Jackson films, because man, it's just, especially seeing the Blade and Our Seal and a few other things, it just feels like, oh man, this has to be a prequel show, but it's not. That's what I got to keep telling myself. So
Let's take it as a reboot. Pretend it's a reboot,
it's hard to pretend it is a reboot because you're just Gandalf dropping lines from the movies, and it's like, oh, this guy.
But
was
that's where a
just-
reboot is, right? Where it's like it's remaking something, but not beat for beat. So, boom.
Yeah, it's true.
Dylan.
Let's see here. Rings of Power season 2. Yeah, I had a rocky start, and really was a rocky show in general for me. Had its ups and downs. Had some great moments. Had some good moments. Had a lot of mediocre stuff, and then a fair share of bad things as well. So, it was a fun time. I'll be back for season 3. I don't know. I just like being in this world, even if it's a different sort of vibe to it. So, I think I'm gonna drop a 6.9 on this puppy.
6.9.
And I think the first season would have been pre me giving things numbers still. So
Yeah.
that's still unnumbered, and it's going to stay that way for the time being.
We'll have to wait till Dylan rewatches it, and then we'll get that number. But yeah, I really don't know where I am with this. It's like what you guys said. I think there's some things we share, but some things we don't. But we do share the opinion that the season one was rocky. Maybe just some things worked better than others for each individual. But I think I'll go a 7. The way it gets to 7 is just because some of the actual visuals for the show. So I guess that's still a good score, but usually I give stuff around 7 of things I'll rewatch a bunch. I don't know. Season 3 is going to be the big determining factor of like, is this a show that's in my rotation of like, I want to get into Rings of Power? Because like, I enjoyed the season, don't get me wrong, but I'm not itching to rewatch this. Where the first season last year, I was. So hopefully season 3 can be more positive, and this may be just more of a slump season for me. But yeah, so I'll go with 7. It's getting that higher mark because of some of the technical stuff. Like even like last week, I thought that troll looked phenomenal. But yeah, so for me, a step down because like I said, I think season 1 was somewhere in the high 8-9 territory, so almost a whole 2 points off. But that feels about justified. And I hope season 3 can be a big improvement to get me to the point that every week I'm like, I need to see Rings of Power, where I'm kind of like, oh, like last 2 weeks, like, all right, Rings of Power is out now in the morning, so, and which should not be the case. But yeah, Mr. Patzer.
6.3 will be my rating on this season of Rings of Power. like just quality of production definitely up there. Like it's a beautiful show to watch. I definitely am happy that this show seems to just have an infinite budget because it shows. It looks gorgeous. Balrog looked phenomenal. I can't really get past my sounds heavy. My hatred for the Harfoots and what they were doing with Numenor, the whole Arda thing, or not Arda, the whole Adar thing. In hindsight, like if I do rewatch like season 1 now, I'm just gonna be like hating on this character because I'm gonna be thinking about the end and just what happens with this whole journey of the Uruks, the attempt to humanize them. You know, they just never really fully get there. They even brought in some orc children, and that wasn't enough, so that was a major waste. The Dark Wizard really wasn't a big fan of. Ended up, turning a leaf on Tom Bombadil, so that was a nice little surprise for myself. And a lot of the Anatar and Celebrimbor stuff, I did like that dynamic, even though maybe I didn't love the character of Celebrimbor. I definitely became a lot more positive on him by the end, because he is just such a sorry bastard. Like, fuck, what a way to go, right? Like he he's the one that brought Sauron into the city. He's like, yeah, bring that handsome elf up to me. Let's chat with him for a little bit. And then what did that lead to? Not only the downfall of Eregion, but also all the burning of the ancient texts and all of his like thousands of years of like work just burnt by these crusty old Uruks. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I
Should
have
have had some
issues with in
backups,
this.
man. He only had one copy.
You got
his
PDF,
first
man. He's got to get those on
mistake,
PDFs. Let's get the digital
Cloud
backups.
storage.
Yeah, the cloud storage. I'm sure they got that technology. They got magic.
They got
right?
fucking magic. There
Yeah.
should be some cool
They've got the
literal.
technology, but it was unfortunately written on one of those scrolls. So now
Yeah. They
Something
should have
else-
literal cloud storage, So.
Something else that I am really upset about now that we're at the end of the season. Didn't really think about it during, but now that we are past it,
Durin?
actually, yes. Actually, thanks for reminding me about that. So that's another. Maybe I'll go down another 0.1. No, I'll keep it at 6.5. But Galadriel, like major drop off from season 1, and
Yeah.
we just are focusing on other avenues. And I didn't even mention, but like Theo, Isildur, all of that stuff. Like I just not as interested as I maybe would have thought I would be, like on paper going into it. But yeah, Galadriel, she was I think my favorite part of season 1, and she's just really gone for most of this season. Like she is in there. It's nice to have her like be a big part of this finale, but yeah, I'm just kind of bummed about that, and especially that we focused on other avenues I didn't love. But I don't know. I am still optimistic going into next season for all the reasons we've kind of already talked about. But yeah, it's disappointing though, right? For how excited I was. These tears you cry.
Yeah, it gave us that meme at least. That's a good
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
all I
they
gotta say,
definitely
though.
they definitely tried to like make Galadriel the main character of the show again in this episode. But it's like, that's cheating. You guys didn't earn that. She was in episode 1, and then she was in the finale. But there's still also 6 episodes where she's in cages, fighting with Elrond, kissing Elrond. Yeah. Thinking of Sauron. Lots of Rons going on. Talking with Adar for the
Not enough
8th
Celeborns.
million time about fuck all. But, well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have done it. We will be back at some point. It's probably going to be 2 years from now for Rings of Power Season 2. They say they're still doing it, so we will be there. But the next time, at least these boys for sure, Dylan Kirkland, Lord of the Rings War for the Rohirrim,
yeah.
that'll be reviewed. So look
Fuck
out for
yeah.
that. And we've, as we've said before, reviewed every single thing Lord of the Rings on the feed, animated films, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings films. So if you're interested, go back and listen to those. There's some fun things there. So yes, thank you very much for being back with us in the journey to Middle Earth, and I promise when you hear from us next, it'll not be boring.
Goodbye.